So as you could guess, 5.5 is going to be about dividing fractions. Now the first thing to remember, and I'm even going to change my pen here to red, is there is no rule for dividing fractions. If you see a division symbol, you need to change it to multiplying by its reciprocal. There is no rule for dividing, no steps to follow. You need to immediately change it to multiplying by the reciprocal. Review about what the word reciprocal means. It means that you're going to flip the fraction. So if I have the fraction 2/3, the reciprocal, put an R there because I'm not going to put equals, the reciprocal would simply be 3/2. All right, so no more red warning. We'll go ahead and put it into action. So the first one, dividing a whole number by a mixed number. So first of all, I'm going to change my mixed number and my whole number into improper fractions. That's my only step I'm doing here, so I'm going to put I guess I'm getting a little extra points there, but I'm going to put 12 divided by, that's a divided by symbol, and I'm going to do 1 times 8 is 8, plus 5 more is 13. So I have 12 over 1 divided by 13/8. Now, because I have that, I am going to, it looks like we missed a screen though here. I don't want to make it too confusing for you. There we go. For some reason I jumped way ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this one first. When I get back to the other screen, I'll start over. So let's just do dividing a fraction by a fraction. So I have -2/5 divided by 4/7. They're both fractions, so I can go ahead and follow my rule of multiplying by the reciprocal. Now it's multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to leave the first fraction the way it is. This is divided by, so multiplying by means I'm going to flip this one to the reciprocal. Now, if you remember from the last lesson, I will look to see if there's any reducing I can do. 2 and 4 I can. 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 4 2 times. Now multiply going across. So I have -7, 5 times 2 over 10. And that is in its simplest form. All right. Now this one, I have 2 mixed numbers. And so before I can divide or multiply, I need to make sure that those are in improper fractions. So 4 times 6, 24, plus 1 more. I have 25/6. Now I would strongly recommend, since you're just renaming, that you would go ahead and you would leave the division sign here first, so you don't skip too many steps. So -1 times 3 is -3 plus 2 more. I'm going to end up with a -5/3. Now I have 2 fractions, so I can put in my rule about division, multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to leave the first fraction, multiply by, so I'm going to change this to the reciprocal or flip it. Next rule, if you remember, to see if we can do any reducing. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 25 5 times. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 6 2 times. Now I'm going to multiply across. 5 times a -1 gets me a -5. 2 times 1 gets me 2. I have an improper fraction here, so I want to make sure I change it to a mixed number. 2 goes into 5. First of all, it's going to stay negative. 2 goes into 5 2 times with 1 remaining. So it's a -2 1/2. Moving on. This is the one I had started, but this was kind of difficult before we did any of the preliminary work. So let's start it over again. So first thing I look for, do I have 2 fractions? I do not have 2 fractions, so I'm going to make both numbers into fractions. The whole number I can make into a fraction simply by putting it over, well, if I can write. There we go. Oh, this is ugly. Let's see if I can get it better. let's put it as 12 over 1. I don't know, we're having some connection again here. I'm going to keep the dividing by sign because at this point all I'm doing is renaming them into fractions. 1 times 8 is 8, plus 5 gives me 13. So I'm going to have 13. Oh, come on. 13/8. At this point, I still have a division sentence. So I want to change my division sentence into a multiplication sentence. So I have 12 over 1, and that's going to be times multiplied by the reciprocal, and that reciprocal is going to be 8/13. Now you'll notice they're playing a little trick on you because on this step, if this would have been our multiplication, we can do some reducing. But at this step, we do not have anything to reduce. So 12 times 8, my goodness, 12 times 8 is going to be 96. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not writing very well. 96. And 1 times 13 is going to be 13. That's really, really hard to see on that one. And so when I'm doing that now, I can go ahead and I can change that to a mixed number. And when I do that, I say 13 goes into 96. I didn't do any writing here, so having a little bit of troubles with that. So let's see what we have here. Sorry. I'm going to bring up my calculator here real quick so that I can show you this one since my pen wasn't working. Let's do 96 divided by, scoot my tools over, 96 divided by 13. I end up with 7 with a repeating decimal. So I'm going to go ahead and my whole number is going to be 7. So equals 7. Let's see if I can pull that calculator back up for you. So now I'm going to say 13 times 7 equals 91. And I can in my head then say 96 minus 91, and I end up with 5/13. Hard to read 13ths, but 5/13. Well, at least because I was having some problems with the writing tools, I could show you the calculator real quick. And we will not do a division using variables. So this finishes the division.